Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club and Anus. This week, Amy chose GlenGarry, GlenRoss from 1992. I'm Frank Gaffney. With us always, Joel, Babyface Fenster. Why Babyface?
I was trying to come up with something like Shelley the Machine Levine, but
Oh,
I couldn't find something that made sense that rhymed with Fenster. I was like, oh, I'll just do the baby face. Well, it's Babyface Finster on the Looney Tune.
Finster baby.
Yeah. So
Oh,
anyway,
Finster baby.
Annie King, who's doing her prep for her Memorial Day party. Mark
Which was
Wolfowitz
like yesterday.
and Goldfoot and Cringer has left the scene. And why GlenGarry, GlenRoss?
I just remember loving it when it first came out. I don't know why I loved it
And
so
you've only
much.
seen it the one time?
I have seen it probably 50 times. When it came out, I just watched it so many times. I don't know what struck me, that maybe it was just the great Mamet writing and the acting and all the rapid fire and then the ending. So I just really loved it, and I haven't seen it in a couple of decades. So I thought, let's watch it again. And I didn't think Mark saw it, but he did say he had seen it, but I definitely didn't think Annie had seen it. And I'd love to get at least one person who hasn't seen it.
Okay, here's the plot. When an office full of underhanded real estate salesmen are given the news that all but the top two will be fired at the end of the week, the atmosphere begins to heat up. That's IMDb. I didn't make that up.
Sure.
But okay, so it's the perfect cast, really. Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Ed Harris, Alan Arkin, Kevin Spacey, Jonathan Pryce, and a role written, I think, specifically for Alec Baldwin.
Yep.
Including his classic line, "Coffee is for closers." Hey, we were supposed to all drink coffee this morning.
Some of us are.
Well, we know who the closers are here.
And I had so many great mugs to choose from. This was really Sophie's choice. But I figured it was good when I drank.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Frank failed us again.
Too far to go. Every actor has a chance to shine, and they're all playing at the top of their game. And Alec Baldwin's monologue perfectly sets the tone for this brutal look at the cutthroat world of real estate. The brilliant David Mamet won a Pulitzer Prize for his play, which was in 1984. And it's completely understandable that these actors would be willing to cut their salaries to appear in this movie. It's that good. I directed it in 2012 at the Carriage House. And my number one direction to them was to absolutely learn David Mamet's words, because they really have a musicality to them. And that was absolutely needed to be followed. But watching it, and I have seen it a few times, quite a bit of the script has been trimmed from the play. The play is definitely much longer, and changes were made. The whole first act of the play takes place in the Chinese restaurant, and then Act 2 is in the office after the robbery. But the most glaring thing that they changed is that they softened Roma, Al Pacino's part. Al Pacino, that hairdo is fabulous, by the way. In the play, we find out that he does hoard the leads for himself, and he even blackmails Williamson into giving half of Levine's commissions to him. But in the movie, Roma doesn't hoard any leads, and he doesn't demand unearned commissions. And he genuinely, and this is a part of the play too, has respect for Levine because he really was his mentor. That part is still there. And they also left out this terribly racist part where one of the leads he gets is from Patel, a client called Patel. And in the play, it's very racist.
They mentioned something about that, though.
They allude to it slightly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but not as badly as in like. Okay, the title of the film comes from the names of two of the real estate developments that they're peddling: GlenGarry Highlands and GlenRoss Farms. A little trivia there. Okay, then I just wrote a few things while I was watching it. I didn't really write a lot. First of all, Jack Lemmon is fucking brilliant and heartbreaking. And he was 67 when he did this movie. I'm 66. I'm just saying. And it really is his movie. How he did not get nominated for an Oscar, I do not know.
Yeah.
And even Alec Baldwin, even in that 10 minutes, he so completely nails that monologue, that character. And Ed Harris and Alan Arkin are so beautiful together. And Ed Harris, so great on his exit. Oh my gosh. But, and of course, in the play, we never see Shelley with any actual customers. He just tells us stories about his customers.
Yeah, but I love that they added that scene where he goes to that house. That was a great scene.
Right. Because you can feel the beautiful awkwardness of this salesman. We've all been in that situation where the salesman is trying to charm you into doing something you really don't want to do. And you can feel your heart beating loudly and you don't know how to stand up to him.
Uh-huh.
And it's so awkward. And I could feel every bit of it. But then when Jack Lemmon closes the deal, I mean, you're just cheering for him. You're like, oh my God, thank God. We love him so much. And I read that Jack Lemmon said he tried not to make him too lovable, but it's Jack Lemmon. Come on.
Right.
You can't. And
He's
Jonathan
not
Price,
that good. Oh, fuck, I talked too loud. He's not that good an actor.
right?
Always gonna love Jack Lemmon,
Yeah.
but he is that good.
And so, and Jonathan Price with the perfect American accent. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
oh
was
boy.
surprised.
And I just, oh, I shouldn't really say because it's not my turn, but just speaking about the scene where Jack Lemmon goes and talks to the guy who really doesn't want to, you have no idea in the first half of the first part of the movie that Al Pacino is even trying to sell to Jonathan Price. When I first saw it, and even yesterday, because I hadn't seen it in so long, to me it just seemed like this guy's just sitting here. Maybe he works with them, but then he wasn't there across the street. So maybe Al Pacino's chatting with him. All of a sudden, he's selling him something, a long time later. That to me was amazing.
Well, in the play, there's two booths, Chinese booths next to each other. And Jonathan Price is sitting at one by himself. And the other, he's sitting at the other one. And, of course, Al Pacino talks very loudly, and so does Roma. And so then he kind of includes this guy in some of the conversation. And then eventually he moves over and talks to him there. So, okay, so GlenGarry, GlenRoss is about many things: masculinity, morality, capitalism, but it's basically an honor among thieves kind of story, following these men as they struggle to hang on to their integrity while acting as low-level rip-off artists. I give it 3.5 stars. It's a great cast, it's a great script. And the best thing about this movie is just watching these great actors reciting David Mamet's beautiful lines. For anyone who loves sharp dialogue and compelling characters, this is the movie not to be missed. It's and it took 8 years to get this movie on the screen because nobody thought anybody would care about it, I guess. But it's lost none of its power or relevance. I'm sure this still goes on today. It was I totally and it's short. Like every movie today is 2 hours and 25 minutes, but this one I was like, "Oh wait. Oh yeah, that is the end." Okay. All right. So Mark, you said you saw it before?
Yes, and actually, I think I have you to thank for that because, Danielle, for the viewers at home, my wife, who did theater at the Carriage House where Frank directed GlenGarry, GlenRoss. I remember seeing the picture on the wall, and I know a lot of those guys. The only one I can remember right now is Larry, but I remember seeing it so much.
Brad Schredock was Roma. Vic Terencio was the Ed Harris part. Fred Tisch was the Alan Arkin part.
Okay, I could see that. Anyway, I remember seeing it so many times, and I probably asked you or Ann or somebody that, like, what's this about? I've heard of it, and then I finally went and watched it about a decade ago. So yeah, I saw it again. I don't have too many notes. Um, I really enjoyed Alec Baldwin as well. That speech was of course for me the best part of the movie, but the brass balls was a bit much. That
Oh
was
yeah,
ridiculous,
that was
ridiculous.
silly.
It was too talky for me. I don't know David Mamet. Danielle actually does. She didn't want to watch it because she's like every other word out of his mouth is going to be fuck. I said it wasn't that bad, but for me,
Every other word out of their mouths was leads.
yeah, yeah, seriously, and then fuck you. But it was for me. I'd rather do Tarantino if I'm going to watch watch something for dialogue because there's usually some good violence in there too, and this and that. It was just
I'm sorry this movie didn't have good violence for you.
yeah. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. I really did feel for Jack Lemmon. He was my favorite character as well, and I found myself cheering for him when he sold the deal. And then at the end, you find out that he didn't really seal the deal, which was very you really do feel for him. And that and I remembered that. I remember because it makes it look like Alan Arkin's going to be the one to do the robbery.
I think we're spoiling too much there. Just keep going.
The movie's 40 years old, 30 years old.
I want people to watch it.
Okay, watch it. Anyway, yeah.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, exactly. But I couldn't wait for it to end. I'll be honest. I felt like at the end of the day, the movie and Jonathan Pryce had no point. And I get Jonathan Pryce was there to set up that scene in the office, but I felt like it went on too long. I really appreciated his American accent though. But at the end, after all that, no, he apologizes. It was just I know you guys.
But you see how Roma is still manipulating him and how he's so sleazy to actually this poor man that to be so put upon, and he is relentless and he won't stop and he wants to get the deal at no cost. It was very important to see that aspect.
All four of them, I got that from the first act. I when I saw them having drinks at the bar, I knew that he was selling him. Then I got all that, and I know that he's Jonathan Pryce was so laid back, so he's an easy mark. But all four of these guys are that their job is to be a sleazy businessman and not salesman. So I just found myself not caring, and I don't know. For me, it was 2.5 stars because of the actors, but it was too much with, especially in the office there. Fuck you, no, fuck you, no, fuck. It got way too much for me. So I didn't dislike it. I just no need to watch it again for me. 2.5 stars.
I heard you.
Fine.
Cranky ass bitch. Annie.
Yeah.
So this is your first time watching it?
It was, yes. Actually, funny thing, Danny had just watched it like last month and he was like, oh, if I knew it was going to be on your list, I wouldn't have watched it yet.
You don't share the list with him?
Huh?
You don't share the list with him?
No, he won't remember anyway. He's just like, what's this week's movie?
And he just randomly watched it?
Well, a salesman that he works with said, oh, you should watch this movie. So he found it and he watched it. And I wasn't even around to watch it. Otherwise, I would have said, I think that's on our list. But
so did he recommend it to Danny because Danny's not a cutthroat enough salesperson?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, on how to be a salesman. But now
Annie is using the set of steak knives.
I have a set of steak knives now.
Second
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, no, he's not a ruthless salesman by any means. So, but
Hey.
I have to say I'm probably, Mark and I probably have similar movie reviews because while I thought the acting was really good, it was just very talky, and it just, and I like the twist at the end and stuff, but didn't do it for me, like, it was okay. I didn't really have anything good or bad really to say about it. I'm not watching it again.
Oh,
So-
too bad. I put it on the list for next year.
Yeah, do we do repeats?
These two are not sophisticated and mature.
No,
No.
not at all. Not at all. So
And they're fine with that.
And I want to say, like, I definitely could see it as a play. I think I would have enjoyed it as a play much more than a movie, you know, like sitting in a theater and watching people perform. Like this, I just got distracted a lot from, you know, with other things. So
Cringer feels the same way.
yeah, so unless they make a remake, so my brother said, oh, you should do like originals and remakes next year. Find movies that have a remake and watch both, you know, like.
That's fun.
Somebody did a play, did it, but with all women, I believe, around here somewhat
This
recently.
curtain call.
Don't get me started.
Oh,
Amy, you didn't give a star rating.
I would give it a 2.75.
Joel, please tell them where they're wrong.
He's
Of
We're
course-
not
listening.
wrong, we're just not sophisticated and mature.
I
Tell
would
them that
never
they're
tell
not
them.
sophisticated and mature.
I would never tell them that they are wrong, but they're wrong.
Well, here's the thing for me, honestly. I love this movie so much. I want everybody to love it, and I don't understand why they don't.
Well,
Same.
I think that's a natural inclination for any movie that any of us love, is that you love it so much you want other people to love it, and then everybody gives Flash Gordon 1 star.
Yeah, and I was gonna say Demolition Man for me. There you go. 4-star movie.
Right. But back to GlenGarry, GlenRoss. The first thing I want to say is I miss opening credits in movies, because this one, it sets up a mood and a tone for what's to come, and I miss that
with the jazz
with the jazz music and the credits that look like the subway car going by. You know, it sets the mood perfectly for this film. And it's
yeah, but today's audience can't. They don't have time. They're like,
Fuck 'em.
let's go. Let's
Fuck
get to the
'em.
plot.
Fuck them. I'd rather have, 2 to 3 minutes of credits at the beginning of the film and then another 2 to 3 credits of the movie after the film than 10 minutes of, the names of the people in Korea who did the accounting for the special effects company.
Yeah.
Don't forget the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the other thing, when it's like when you go to the theater and there's a musical and they play the overture, you have 5 more minutes if you're late
Yeah.
to get into the theater
Well,
and not
that's
miss anything.
that's what Nicole Kidman and 30 minutes of previews are for.
Oh,
There was a big uproar, I remember, when the newspaper started printing the actual time the movie was going to start and not the trailers. And
Yeah.
people were like, what?
I
We're
don't
used to
remember
having
that.
that 30-minute window.
Anyway, I've seen the movie a number of times over the years. I think it's a
Did you
brilliant
see
movie.
my version at the Carriage
I
House?
did see your version at the Carriage House.
All right.
It was a very good production of the play. You had top-notch actors who,
Yeah.
as you said, you got most of them to memorize Mamet's lines because they're so lyrical.
Yeah.
And then there were
No, I wasn't looking for a compliment.
I
Just-
know you weren't, but
that's
I'm
the
just
movie.
saying there was that one actor that tends to
Just go back to the movie.
his lines. Anyway, yes, let's go back to the movie. I think it's a really good adaptation of the play because it streamlines it. It opens it up. It gets to its points and it doesn't linger on things. It moves pretty quickly, which I like about it. I love the look of the film. It's got a very
If you get a chance.
techno noir aspect look to it that is not quite what the material is, but can kind of lean itself in that direction if necessary. The acting is amazing. The fact that Pacino was nominated for Best Supporting Actor and didn't win because of the schmuck that won Best Actor that year. Which Pacino for
Him.
Sensible Woman.
Wow.
He should have won Best Supporting for this role and not Best Actor for that role, but that's a whole other argument.
He got it right in the hoo-ha.
Yeah.
If that's on my list, I know Joel hates it, but it's on my list.
So
Hey,
he was
this is fun,
nominated in 2 different categories.
Yeah.
Yes.
And And it's not a movie I hate per se. It's just it's like Dances with Wolves. It didn't deserve all the accolades it got based on other things that came out at the same time. Anyway, that's
but
another.
we digress.
Yes, which we always do. So I don't really have much more to say about it. It's got there's great acting, great cinematography, great set design. It's got great editing. It's just it's a great movie.
Great
all around.
cinematography.
Yeah, I said that.
This movie has it all.
Yes. Except a good role for a female.
That's for sure.
Because the only one listed in the credits is the hat check
The
girl.
hat check girl.
She was great.
Yeah. But I love that they, with a play, when you translate it to the big screen, you do have to try to open it up in some way. And that doesn't just necessarily mean like, oh, the play took place in one room, let's make an outside scene. Let's
drive the car in the rain while we're talking this.
Right, but they did it in such a way that made it feel natural. Like even just like, when Shelley crosses the street from the Chinese restaurant to the office, it's kind of like, okay, we're getting some breathing space. We're not stuck in a claustrophobic booth in a Chinese restaurant. We're moving around a bit, but I'm gonna stick with 3.5 stars on this one. I've seen it before. At some point I'll see it again.
Yeah. And did you still love it 20 years later?
I did. I don't think I loved it as much as I did the first time. I was wondering why I loved it so much back in the day, and I don't know why. There were moments where
why were you watching it so many times? Did you have it on VHS?
I have no idea. I certainly don't remember having it on VHS.
You recorded off TV?
Maybe. I have no memory. I just have a memory of seeing it a million times, but since it's been so long, I forgot so much of it. But then there were lines that I was like, oh my God, he's about to say, fuck you is my name, or will you go to lunch that was my favorite back then. I loved it. I was like waiting for he's going to tell him to go to lunch. It was just
I
so
remember
weird.
you saying that line to me quite a few times.
No kidding.
Will you go to lunch?
Burlow
and
girl.
Kevin Spacey is just the right amount of sleazy for this movie.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yeah. There were a few lines that I was like, oh. I did read, I only read a little bit of the trivia. I forgot to finish it this morning, but I read that it was filmed. You mentioned the set design. It was filmed at a real sales office, real estate office that had moved, but they still had the old one still sitting there right there in Brooklyn. So that was all a real set. And that's all. You've all said everything else that I would have said about the acting and the dialogue and everything and the ending. Oh my God. So I will also give it 3.5 stars.
What year was it supposed to take place in?
It was supposed to be a contemporary piece.
Modern, whatever.
But it was the 80s when he wrote it, so I would think more the 80s.
Because the amount of money that they were talking about, people going crazy for $2,500 as professional salesmen in 1992. I was like, are you kidding me? Like that's, and if you live in New York, even back then, that's not even a rent. I mean, that's it seemed like I would think they'd be talking about 50 grand. I'm closing for 100 grand. They're talking all this money. I want my $6,000. I was like, is this 1952? I mean,
so maybe it was
80. Talking about $8,000 in 1 month. So
yeah, that's a lot.
It's 8 times 12. If you did that every month.
Yeah. And that was take home, wasn't it? That was like that's what they were clearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was making 25,000 in the early 90s, so over a year. Gross. And that was gross. One thing I did also find fun that I forgot was they would have these zip codes on all of the cartons, and one of them was so close to mine, I had to look it up and see if it was real because I'm 11415, and this one said 11422 to something. So I looked it up, and that was Rosedale, Queens. So I thought that was cute. And then I was looking the whole time for my zip code, but they were real. That was cute, and it was right here in Queens.
All right, so GlenGarry going up. Smacking you with a tail. Talk loudly, he'll go away.
I know. No, you want to go.
This is what's known as cat porn in the industry.
Kitty porn.
That's the only reason we have anybody watching this.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's why it's cringer. Maybe we should change our name to Cringer and the Monday Movie Club.
Yes.
So GlenGarry GlenRoss is on the Cock of P as well as Prime. If you
Netflix.
subscribe.
Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. And next week, Joel is up with Streets of Fire from 1984. It's
Ooh,
not
that's
playing.
next week. Cool.
Annie, what was that reaction for?
Oh,
Oh, is it
I
going to be
feel like
home?
I've had so many weeks of movies that I'm like, ugh.
Homework.
But it's a
I
short
need a-
one, Annie. I looked it up. It's only like 90 minutes.
If
92
you
minutes.
if you've never seen it,
Never
it's
seen
got
it.
something for everyone.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard of it.
You're all gonna hate it,
Frank.
but there's something in it that you will like, and you will realize that, oh, wait a minute, I know this song. It was a big hit in the 80s.
Okay.
Okay.
So
It is from 1984. It is not available anywhere. So you're going to have to pay to watch it. Okay, that's it for us. We are Cringer and the Monday Movie Club. And despite what Annie and Mark said, you should watch this movie.
Just not again.
Fuck is all.
Oh, and also with you.
And also.
Jesus H.